Hey guys, how you doing? Dave Glaser from Fit Life Champions in Denver, Colorado. I wanted to jump on Facebook Live today and tell a quick story about something that came up recently in our studio. Is personal training becoming too personal? Or is it in fact just too personal? And I'll get to what I mean about that here in a second, but I've had a client for almost 4 years, 3.5 years now. He's by far one of my favorites to train on a twice or 3 time per week basis for the last 3.5 years. He saw some amazing results in the first 1.5 years. He was motivated, he was going to his wedding, and boom, he got down to like 13% body fat, just around 208 pounds, and he was rock solid, looked amazing in his tuxedo. Got the opportunity to go to the wedding, and it was becoming a part of his life. So recently, though, we've seen him switch from one-on-one training to a small group training situation, small group training setting, where the program design didn't change. We're basically just taking that particular client and combining him with 3 or 4 other guys that are exactly like him with the exact same goals, with the exact same shoulder injury. And we're plugging them into the small group training system. So we know that coaching changes during small group training. We know that the experience for our clients changed just a little bit during small group training. And that's not always a bad thing, because we see that based on results, clients burn more calories when they work out in a group. And that's why small group training is an excellent option for combining like individuals into a better price point for them, a more convenient calendar for you because you can set your boundaries, that red, yellow, green time, and leverage your time as well. So at some points we have 4 or 5 people in a small group training session. That's awesome at $30 per person on average. It's pretty good for the hour. Anyways, we're getting off topic. But I want to come back to a quick conversation that we had this morning. It just so happens he was the only client in small group training this morning. And I asked him when he got here, hey man, thank you so much for being on time. Appreciate that. It's been a while since we've done assessments. Let's sit down and do circumference and skin fold really quick. And he says, you know what? No better day than today. I'm heading to a bachelor party this weekend. Next week's no good for me. As you can probably imagine, he's not going to want to come back from that weekend and do some body composition assessments. So we do circumference, we do body weight, and we do skin fold. And all 3 of those measurements are as high as I've ever seen it for this particular client. And that's where we're getting into this personal part of the process that we're going through, this system or the strategies or basically just creating this business of personal training. Is personal training too personal? Well, we get finished with these assessments, and it's a reality check for us both. You know, I believe that I'm doing an amazing service for our clients. I believe that our trainers are top-notch, and I believe that they can get anybody to their goals in a safe and quick manner. However, both the client and I are a little bit shocked at the difference. We've noticed some changes. We've noticed a little bit of lack of consistency, lack of frequency in exercise, but also some body composition changes just to the visual eye. So we do the assessments in order to get the quantitative data, because we need that so that we can have this conversation with our clients. So we're sitting there, the 2 of us are working together to figure out what, why, and how we're going to take care of this. So basically I just start asking questions. What's going on in your life? How on board is your wife with your nutrition program? How supportive is your home situation and your support group with the exercise that you're getting? Great, you're going to some cycle bar classes on the outside. That's awesome. You're seeing us twice a week consistently since a shoulder injury in basketball. That's great too. Well, he tells me that his metabolism has slowed down. Well, at 31 years old, that's part of the process, and that might be the case when we get to a certain age. As men or as women, you know, our bodies start to change and things don't really adapt as easily as we age. But my gut feeling says that that's not really the case. So here's where we get into too personal. personal training, as professionals, we need to dive deep and we need to dig into what's going on in our client's world. And the answer to that question is personal training can't be too personal. We know a lot about this particular client. I've been to the wedding. I know when their plan is to have children. I know when they're going to buy their house because it comes up in conversation with the other guys in the group training. I know what he does on the weekends because he talks about kickball and softball and going out with his brother, or going out with his wife, etc. So I know that it's probably not metabolism. What are our areas of opportunity here? It's nutrition. It's are we getting enough exercise? Desk bound as an employee, 60 plus hours a week as a VP in a bank. All of these things are lifestyle factors that come into play when we're trying to find the solution. Well, as it turns out, when we were diving deeper into this conversation, yes, metabolism has a key component into what we're talking about, but he hasn't had his thyroid medication evaluated in 2 years. Do you think that could be a factor when it comes to helping him reach his goals in a timely manner or in a safe manner either? Probably not. Medication has a lot of side effects. Sometimes that's weight gain. Sometimes that's water retention. Sometimes that's lethargic. Sometimes that's mental side effects that just keep us thinking negatively or preventing us from thinking as positively as we possibly can and creating those false beliefs in our mind that we can't reach our goals. So here's the plan that we have in place. In addition to the thyroid medication, we're going to ask, go visit your doctor. And he's like, well, it's $30 a pop. All right, it's either $30 now or $2,000 later when we're talking about a serious heart condition or complications with your thyroid, etc. Like preventative maintenance with your car. You're going to get a $30 oil change to save yourself $2,000 in a thrown rod in your piston or something like that. I'm not a car guy, but that's the analogy that we like to talk about with our clients as an easy solution to preventative maintenance. We'll spend $30 today on a thyroid test that your doctor would prescribe anyways. It's been 2 years. Let's do that. All right, that's step number 1. Step number 2 is we're going to limit alcohol intake. Step number 3 is we're not going to have 25% of our diet be brown rice. So in this conversation, he's like, well, I don't count broccoli and spinach and cucumbers and asparagus as carbohydrates. All right, we got to reset your mindset. We got to reset your mentality on what a carbohydrate is, and that's our area of expertise. We know that you have to include broccoli, spinach, kale, asparagus, and peppers in with your carbohydrates and your veggies per day. So it's not just sweet potatoes and carbs that make up 25% of your diet. It's all of the above. So we're going to kind of reassess where our mindset is and where our education is with our clients every so often. So those are our first few steps in helping him plan for the next phase of his goal setting. 1, get your thyroid checked. 2, limit your alcohol intake. 3, re-identify what's on your plate. Increase protein, increase fat, and really dedicate yourself to educating me to my client what a carbohydrate is, because that's so important. And then finally, the last part of this conversation that I want to kind of wrap this whole thing up is, when do assessments come into play in our personal training system? Well, during our consultation system, we do assessments. We do body weight, skin fold, and circumference measurements for a reason. We set that baseline assessment. Boom, it's done. We know where we started. We take before and after pictures, and the client believes that we have their best interest in mind because we are tracking data over time. And then our programs are built on a 12-week phase. 3 phases broken down into 4 weeks each. And guess what? Right at the end of that 12-week phase, we can do assessments again. So even for our small group training clients who are not necessarily getting that personal touch as much as one-on-one, we can bring and elevate that level of service into our program design by doing assessments on a regular basis for our small group training clients, and at the same time we can do it for our one-on-one clients, and at the same time we can do it with our online clients by asking them to take their own circumference measurement or go do a bod pot. You know, that's only about 30 bucks. If we're charging our clients $100 a month for online training, we can certainly ask them, you know what, 4 times a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, I want you to take your bod pod assessment. Can you do that for me, please? Our client in LA has done hydrostatic weighing. I mean, he jumped into the tank and he got his body composition accurately measured at about 9.5%. He's our boxer. He's the one that, oh man, he's just the trendsetter with online training. So we have systems in place so that we can keep our clients accountable, on track, and healthy for the long run. I want to thank you for your time. Appreciate you guys paying attention. And please comment below your ideas, your suggestions on how to keep clients accountable to reach their goals in a timely and safe manner, even if they're in small group training, one-on-one training, or online training. And lastly, how do you handle that hard conversation of what it's going to take to help your client believe in themselves, see the big picture, and eventually get to their goals with you as their facilitator? Thanks a lot. Dave Glaser from Fit Life Champions. Talk to you soon.